They've planted from one church to about around 10,000, somewhere in there.
We're not sure now.
Not sure now how many, but it's kind of hard to keep track of it.
Yeah.
And about 1 million people has come to the Lord, and many of them Muslims.
Lots of teams.
Lots of teams. Yes, lots of help, lots of team. God's multiplied your work. So a lot of things with the orphanages, and well, let me just begin by asking: would you, for those who may not know more about your ministry, when I first met you, you mentioned that there's 2 things that you were asking every one of your church planters and pastors to do. What does he ask?
Take in orphans.
Take in
1 to 10. We say everyone who's a pastor needs to care for orphans and needs to just take them home, bring them home, and love on them, and they do. And he spoke to me that he would bring his father heart to these pastors that weren't pastors. They were all just in the bush and brand new baby Christians, and we just said all pastors care for orphans in our country anyway. So they just said yes, and they do it. It's awesome. And every children's village has a group caring for them, but most of our kids now are taken care of in the local church. So little mud hut churches, and then we take in. The missionaries go with the nationals. We bring in the food, pray for the kids, talk to them, and just say every single child must be taken in. Don't leave any child alone. So it's happening. Yeah, hundreds of widows in our care, sewing programs and beadwork, and just hundreds of widows. And we read the book. It's really clear. Pure religion. Take care of the orphans and the widows. It's just so clear. And when you live in the secret place and you get in the presence and you get blasted and God hits you and Holy Spirit wrecks you and you're just there, whatever's happening to you, whether you're still or vibrating on the floor, He gives you His heart. And God's heart is always that His children come home to His house, that they know who He is. And the widow comes home. It's all about the marriage. It's all about the marriage with Jesus and the Father. And so there's something prophetic as well about orphans and widows. He likes that we care for them. It makes him happy. During, interesting thing, last January, I was ministering with one of my sons, my adopted son Norberto, one of my oldest, and he got a call from the flood zone saying it's just been wiped out, the Zambezi River overflowed. I'm like, God, I don't want to see it again. We were just like overextended, too much. And he's telling me, and then he'll hand me the phone, and we hear these kids crying, and they're hungry, and they haven't eaten for days. And the Lord said, I opened your eyes. Oh, and you have to keep seeing. Once your eyes are open, you have to keep them open. You have to keep looking. He said, don't shut your eyes. I want you to see. I want you to feed them. I want you to believe. And I asked him that January. I mean, when you laid hands on me, we had a couple of little churches, wobbly churches, 300 and some kids. They had to come to church. They were required to come. That's the only reason we had a church, because we fed the kids, so they came. And you laid hands on me, and you said, the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the poor will hear the good news, the cripple will walk, the dead will be raised. Do you want a nation? And I just said yes, and I got completely undone. Well, we were feeding just that little number, 320 kids a day at that time, and every day we prayed for food, and we needed a miracle. We still do. But in January, he said 100,000. 100,000 people a day. I want you to feed 100,000 people a day. And do you know, Shika Baba, it's just so cool what he's done in this little bit of time. Just with little people, we're just a bunch of little laid down lovers in the dirt. Every day from January to June, 100,000 people ate.
Wow.
And that's like a multitude of people working. Those are, I can't even tell you how many 4-ton trucks and volunteers and nationals and missionaries, and everybody just went for it, and God did it. And they lived, and they got saved, and the church just exploded. So we must never shut our eyes. Whatever He gives us to do, we do it with passion in our heart.